Hi everyone, Michael Oskam from Pro Audio Lessons. For anyone who's been in the world of audio engineering for some time, I'm sure you've read or seen or at the very least heard that in order to become successful and to be taken seriously, you need to have a universal audio interface. Maybe the Apollo Twin or Apollo 8 or 8P. This is what I like to call the great UAD interface lie. That being said, just as with many lies, there is a bit of truth to this statement. Let me explain. Let me get this out of the way first. I am in no way saying that you need a UAD interface to record and mix audio professionally. As mentioned, there are people out there who believe this or want you to believe this, and their motives are their own. As someone who produces music and records and mixes professionally, I can 100% without any doubt tell you that you do not need a UAD interface to produce the quality of work regularly turned out by the industry's best. So what kind of interface do I use, you might ask? A universal audio Apollo. 2 Apollos to be more specific. I have an Apollo Twin daisy chained to an Apollo 8. Why 2? Well, I needed more inputs, and I just love running UAD plugins. But Michael, I thought you just said you don't need an Apollo interface. You're right, I did say that, and I meant it. So why do I use UAD gear? Why does it seem that so many top professionals use UAD gear? Is it coincidence? When people ask these kinds of questions, I always tell them that they're looking at things backwards. In other words, people are not professionals because they are using UAD gear. They are using UAD gear because they are professionals. Again, let me explain. I think UAD is a phenomenal company. They aren't paying me to say this. They aren't even aware I exist, let alone that I'm making this video, but it's true. They make absolutely outstanding gear, from hardware units like interfaces and outboard processors, such as compressors and preamps, to state-of-the-art, authentic plug-in recreations of some of the most popular and coveted audio units ever used. Their focus seems to not only be to deliver the highest quality products and sound, but to solve many problems that face modern musicians/engineers in the world of modern digital recording. Anyone who uses UAD interfaces or has looked into them knows they offer something unique. Their interfaces have Onboard DSP, which stands for Digital Signal Processing. I could go further in depth on this topic, but I'm going to simplify things just for the sake of this video. When recording, let's say vocals, into your computer using a DAW, digital audio workstation. This could be Pro Tools, Studio One, Ableton, Logic, or even GarageBand. The analog signal from the microphone has to be converted to digital ones and zeros. It then gets processed and recorded into your DAW. Run through whatever plugins you have enabled, things like compression, EQ, reverb, delay, then back out through the audio interface, where the ones and zeros are converted back into an analog signal, where you can then hear it through your speakers or headphones. All of that conversion and processing takes time. The amount of time depends on your computer, its processor speed, RAM, what type of connection the interface is using, be it USB or maybe Thunderbolt. And the more plugins you have in the path, the longer it takes, because the computer has to work that much harder. Inevitably, in this situation, you will run into something called latency. The round-trip time it takes for the signal to go through the process I just laid out. You can imagine then, if when you're recording vocals, the singer is hearing their voice in their headphones delayed by half a second or so, that would be disastrously distracting, making it near impossible to get a quality performance out of the singer. When I explain this, some people still have a problem grasping what I'm describing, so I thought, what better way than to give you an actual audio example? Now, keep in mind, when tracking vocals, the singer usually wants to hear what it'll sound like in the finished mix, or at least close to it. So in order to get the best performance out of them, it's important to be able to provide them with things like reverb and delay. These are accomplished by inserting plugins. And as I discussed before, that can increase the latency time. Let me give you a common recording scenario. You put your vocalist in the booth, they put their headphones on, and you are ready to go. Pretend this is me singing. Oh my gosh, it's hard for me to hear. I don't know where I am in this song. Right there, you can see the complications. This is the curse of latency. The same goes when recording anything else. Guitar, drums, bass, and MIDI keyboards can be awful. Imagine the keyboardist hitting a key but not hearing the note until a moment later. It would make it impossible to play anything, especially in time with the tune. So what does this all have to do with UAD? Well, as I said, they build DSP into their interfaces. It's a chip that handles a large part of the digital signal processing so that your computer doesn't have to. What you get in return is near zero latency. And for anyone who's played the delicate game of switching your buffer size and freezing tracks while recording just the dry vocal, just so your computer doesn't overload, this is a dream come true. And if some of that went over your head, don't worry. In fact, consider yourself blessed. So you pair this with some of the most accurate hardware modeling, and you've got a win-win. Meaning you can actually put accurate emulations of great compressors like the LA2A and EQ like the EQ-P1A from Pultec into the chain and not have it delay the signal at all, or at least not noticeably. They also give you the option of recording those effects into the performance, baking it in, as it's sometimes called, meaning it's captured into your DAW, or you can choose just to hear those effects while recording, leaving an unaffected clean vocal take in your DAW that you can compress and EQ later if you so desire. Again, I could go much further into this, but that is perhaps best for another video. These are just some of the reasons professionals choose to use universal audio. And it makes perfect sense. Let's imagine this for a second. You've been hired to track a vocalist. Not just any vocalist, but a potential rising star by a major label. It would be enormously embarrassing to get said star into your studio and run into latency problems. And in addition to being embarrassing, you would come off as incredibly unprofessional. And it wouldn't be unheard of that you were never hired again. Word can travel fast in the music industry, and as a result, your client list would shrink quickly. Here's another reason. The music industry has shrunk. Major studios are pretty much a thing of the past. Bedroom and project studios are everywhere now. Producers are like nomads. So the recording rigs need to be mobile. They may have a gig in Nashville, and then LA, then New York, then on to Atlanta. And when they set up their gear, they want to rest assured that their gear is dependable, reliable, and predictable. And UAD delivers on all of those fronts. As I mentioned, there are many reasons that professionals choose to use UAD. And although I've only listed a few, I believe these are at the top of most of their reasons. Another thing to keep in mind is this: not every professional uses UAD. Anyone who says otherwise is lying to you. There are plenty of other companies out there that make competitive, high quality, high speed interfaces. So please, don't feel like you have to buy a universal audio interface to be taken seriously. But I do hope I've shown you why so many professionals use them, and it's my own humble opinion that universal audio spot at the top is absolutely earned and well deserved. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please be sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share if you'd like, but check back soon for another video, and until then, keep mixing.